I want to open with a sad note. Following the events yesterday leading to the death of the Palestinian minister Zayed Abu Ain, loss of life always brings pain. The State of Israel is committed to carry out a careful examination into the events which led up to Abu Ain's death. Israel will act according to the rule of law. At this difficult time, both sides have the duty to be responsible and encourage calm. Well, dear friends, I have heard and read so much in the last weeks and months about the health of Israel's democracy. In Israel and abroad, many questions have been asked, many concerns have been raised, and even accusations have been made. They say that Israel is democracy under pressure, that Israel democracy is fading. It is true that we had a very difficult year in Israel. We have fought a painful battle against the Hamas in Gaza. We have seen an increase in terror attacks across the country. We have seen serious increase of tension between Jews and Arabs, Jews and Muslims. Just across our borders, there is yet more instability and war, more bloodshed and hatred. Further abroad, Israelis and Jews are being targeted by boycott and anti-Semitism. Indeed, it has been a difficult and painful time. Israel now facing serious challenges, social challenges, political challenges, and security challenges. However, as one who lived here, not only in Israel, here in Jerusalem, all his life, let me assure you, the State of Israel has dealt with difficulties in the past and has overcome them. In its short history, Israel's democracy has stood firm in the face of so many challenges. It survived the removal of thousands of Jews from their homes in Gaza after the decision of the redeployment. It survived wave after wave of brutal terror attacks against its people. 6 wars, major military campaigns, tens of thousands of fallen soldiers and civilians. It survived the assassination of a prime minister. My friends, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not here to give you a lesson in Israeli history. Sometimes my very statements do not serve Israel public diplomacy abroad, what is known as hasbara, the Israeli hasbara, since I prefer to say exactly what I believe in. Israel is a proud, democratic and Jewish state, Jewish and democratic. This is our DNA. Not more democratic than Jewish and not less Jewish than democratic. But do not be fooled. While at times it may seem there are no red lines in the political debates in Israel, our history has proven again and again that Israel's democracy itself has clear right lines and boundaries, as made clear by our legislation and legal system. These moral boundaries express Israel's absolute commitment to defend the rights of all its citizens, the right of its minorities, Arabs and Jews as one. And I want to tell you something else. Despite recent attempts to suggest that the Jewish character of the state threats by the democratic nature, in reality, the opposite is the truth. Our commitment to our democratic values, is born directly out of our Jewish values. Israel's basic law of human dignity and liberty is no less Jewish than it is democratic. Indeed, it is the root in the words of the great Rabbi Akiva, who have said in Hebrew, Chaviv Adam shenivra b'tzelem, and the translation to English, beloved is man created in the image of God. The very same teaching used as basis for the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Ladies and gentlemen, as a man who speaks his mind, I will tell you honestly, I have confidence and full confidence in Israel's democracy. But at the same time, there are things that concern me and concern me very much. I'm concerned about the violence that has raised its ugly head in our society. I'm concerned by the public political atmosphere which brought us the Jewish nation-state bill, a bill which is at best unnecessary, as I have clearly stated. I'm concerned about the low point of relation between Arabs and Jews, between Jews, Muslims and Christians, between Israelis and Palestinians. You all have to know that the very definition of the State of Israel is that Israel is a Jewish democratic state. And of course, it brings us sometimes to questions. If it is a Jewish state, and if it is a democratic one, why should it not be defined as a state of all its citizens? And I can assure you that the idea of returning of the children of Israel, returning of the Jewish people to their homeland was necessary and was, of course, agreed by all nations in the 29th of November 47. Because everyone knows that Jew is not only religion, it is also people of the same nation. And we have returned back to our homeland and to Jerusalem, the city that we have prayed for 2,000 years to have the opportunity to return back, because we have prayed to God 3 times a day, God, with your mercy, please return us back to Jerusalem. My elder ancestor have ordered all members of my family, 205 years ago, to get to Jerusalem because he believed that the Messiah is going to return back and that it is impossible that the Messiah will get back and the Riblin family will not welcome him. And we have returned back because he has told us. Why should we pray to God every day 3 times that he will return us with his mercy to Jerusalem? Jerusalem is open. Go and return back to your homeland. And that was the idea. That was the idea of Zionism 100 years before the creation of Zionism as a political movement. We believed. Unfortunately, the Holocaust forced many people to understand that there is no other place for Jews but the state of Israel. But Israel is not compensation because of the Holocaust. Israel is the homeland of the Jewish people. Some people will say there is a conflict. between two people, everyone from his point of view believes that it is his homeland. Yes, probably it is true, but the Jewish people have no other place to go but to let everyone understand we are here because we have returned to our homeland. Of course, Jews have to understand, and to understand it very well, that those people who were born to this land, this is their motherland as well. And this conflict is struggling within ourselves, and that is a real problem. And I'm concerned. I'm concerned about interpretations that is being given by citizens in Israel about the idea of a Jewish democratic state. I'm also worried that Israel Arab's leaders have not clearly condemned the incitement and murder of their fellow Israelis. That some within the Arab-Israeli population support the worst of our enemies and seeks to attack the state they live in. We understand that many Israelis, Arab Israelis, have the conflict within themselves, between their loyalty to the state of Israel, to their state, and to their people, the Palestinian people. I'm also troubled that Israel is not determined enough to address the significant economical and social gaps that lie between Arabs and Jews of this country. The truth is, we have not done enough to build bridges or trust between the peoples of this country. This task stands before us. It stands before me. My dear friends, despite all challenges we face, despite the problems I have mentioned, at the end of the day, we must remember that the intensity and the democratic debate in Israel is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. It is a sign of a society brave enough to deal with the most fundamental dilemmas concerning its identity and values. I have no doubt in my heart that Israel's democracy is capable of meeting the challenges which lies before us. And it will continue to do so passionately and bravely in its Jewish and democratic way, and there is no gap between Jewish and democratic ways, because they are and they should be the same. Thank you so very much.